Hi, all my beautiful and gorgeous souls. This is Breaking the Cage. This is the solstice. This is for December 17th through the 23rd. We're approaching the full moon next week in Cancer. We're going through the solstice this week. So, this right here, this is a powerful week. It's a powerful week and it's a very, very unpredictable week. You want to say hi, lover bugger? Say hi to all the people. This is my Mr. Neptune. So, does this video started, he walked in and started playing with me. Anyway, this is a powerful week. Anytime it seems like, I always find it fascinating that when we come to the solstices, especially the winter solstice and around Christmas time or Yule, however you choose to see it, I see yads in the astrology. And or depending on how you may pronounce it, it may be yud in the astrology. And in Hebrew, the yod or the yud is the smallest letter in the alphabet, but it's the most mightiest. So it's the tiny things that are the most powerful and can make the biggest creational changes in our lives. Hi, my little lover bug. My little Neptune's back. With the astrology I'm seeing for this week, there is a lot of very unpredictable energies. But let's stop for a second. Let's remember this is the solstice and it's the winter solstice. So it's also the longest, darkest, coldest night of the year, at least for this part of the world where I'm at. And this is speaking of us going into ourselves, going into our spiritual growth, going into some of the darkest areas of ourselves. I've been saying for the longest time we were in some of the rawest energy. This energy is kind of touching base on some of our numbness, where we've gone numb, where the feeling itself has no more joy or happiness, just numb. And this has a lot to do with that inner workings of what's going on, because you have a lot of Nessus energy this week, and I'll explain it as I get into the astrology itself. But what I mean by that is, just where are you spiritually numb versus, replenishing, reblooming, coming back into life, getting back on your proper center, maturing and growing and reblossoming, stepping into your higher vibrational frequency versus numb. Because a lot of this is about like ancestral healing or just healing in general. But we're getting into some of those deeper, darker areas. And that has to do with the solstice itself, not alone, but then when we get into the way the planetary energies are written, you'll start understanding what I mean. It is a very powerful and pivotal time, but very unpredictable this week. And I want to say it that way because I want you to realize the unpredictability could be a positive thing or negative. And that really depends on where you're focusing your energy and where you're connecting with your energy. As in, are you learning that lesson and rebirthing? Or are you still sitting in the numb area? And if so, this means you need to be inviting that numbness in. You need to be opening up and investigating why that's still there, because that's a healing that is needed. And a lot of it is in that universal 12th house energy, even if it's not your 12th house. Understand me, guys. When we move the signs so that it fits your astrology, so Pisces could be your 4th house, possibly, but it will still carry the universal energy of that universal 12th house. So no matter where it shifts, that energy is still there. It's just it also adapts and takes on the energy of whatever house it is for you. So it makes it even more complex. This is why I do these videos this way, because I can't be there for each and every person. And I do these for free because I know that I'm not always the cheapest person to come to. But I try to make sure I'm putting out as much as possible. When we get into the blueprint this week, you still have Chiron, the wounded healer, on the lateral lobes. And then you have the North Node on your eyes. So this is literally the muscles of your eyes. This is literally speaking about how we are in our brain, how we are viewing the world, and how we are adapting to the world around us, how we're viewing it, how we're seeing it, how we're projecting it, how we're perceiving it, and how we are taking action upon the world that we are viewing in our individual lives. Then it is going in through the eyes, the North Node, and making you see, are you seeing, like I said, the number energy, where you've just gotten used to accepting that's the way life is, versus no, we're going to be the change and stepping into the world you're wanting to create. And then this is coming into that zeal point, and it goes directly down through all of the chakras. When it enters into Taurus, you have Jupiter, which is literally on the throat. So that's the throat chakra, but it's still dealing with the zeal point because it's all the way around the throat and on the back of the neck, which is still in that area. And then you have Uranus, which is the lymph nodes in the neck. So this is also speaking to us about how our throat is able to connect, communicate. Are you having a sore throat? I mean, are you getting choked up? The lymph nodes, are you having, the neck getting sore and can't move it quite as much? This is all speaking about your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your liberation. And where are you stepping into that? Where are you feeling it? Where are you speaking it? Jupiter is your higher self, your higher abundance, but it's in retrograde still. And we're still looking at these energies from that perspective of a little bit more in our own self-centeredness. Mercury's still in retrograde here. So you can't help it. We tend to get a little bit more self-centered in general when Mercury is in retrograde. It's not that we mean to be self-centered. It's just the communication is only communicating inwardly and like over inner chatter in our head. And we have got to be paying attention because, like I said, it's sitting at this time with Pholos, which is the poison, sitting on that numbness, sitting on just get comfortable with what you know, what you've always known, deal with it. No. This is not getting comfortable in the poison, not getting comfortable in that inner communication that is actually sabotaging. We don't want to be in that, but we want to acknowledge where we do it to ourselves. And then when we're in that energy, you're paying attention to, that's the throat chakra, the head, the third eye, and it's all speaking to the zeal point, choosing to go up and down the spine and connect to all of your chakras. And it is ultimately sending off forces of, I'm open for attack, I'm open for blockages, I'm open for this, or I'm not. And this is why I said you want to acknowledge where you get in self-sabotage energy right now, because that's that Pholos energy trying to teach you where the sabotage is so that you do not do it and you learn to get out of it and communicate with yourself in more healthy, positive ways, higher vibrational ways. Now, Cancer has Vista in it. This is the keys to the truth. And it's sitting on the ribs. The ribs have everything to do with how you are breathing in and exhaling out. This has everything to do with the oxygen that you are bringing in, the ability to breathe in higher vibrational energy. Remember, Spirit has been saying we are a bunch of mouth breathers. We breathe in through our mouth a lot of the toxic energies. And this also helps create other additional health problems. So use your nose more. Breathing in through your nose like you should during meditation. We need to start programming ourselves for this in more of in a more powerful level to help our own bodies as well as stay in a high vibrational without bringing in toxic energies. Cancer is your inner emotional security. It is the chest. It is what's protecting the heart. It is literally speaking to you about the pains that you're feeling right through here because it's the keys to the truth. All right. When we get into Lilith and Juno, that's in Virgo, it's in the abdomen. Juno, which is sacrifice and commitment, is literally in the bile. All right. So this is about waste removal. What's going through the intestines? What have you been holding on to for too long? And what needs to be removed so healthy energies can come through? This is circulation as well. This is how we are circulating what is no longer serving us and removing it out. This is, like I said, Virgo energy, very earth and grounded energy, but it is the abdominal energy and the bile itself as it is moving through understanding, connecting with what not only serves you, but what makes you vivid, what makes you full of life, what makes you happy to be here. That sixth house on the universal level, when we go back into astrology, is your mundane tasks, your people, places, and things. It is your daily routines. So in these daily routines, these daily mundane tasks, what are you doing that serves you? Not your three-dimensional jobs and stuff. Serves the soul. What makes you happy? What do you want to be doing with your daily routines, your daily activities, versus what you kind of have to because of that three-dimensional job, three-dimensional world? Where are you three-dimensional versus higher dimensional? And are you bringing that in? Your people, places, and things. Remember that energy that is part of that is also part of what you are. And this is speaking to you about where is your heart fire? Where is your flame? Where is your interest? And how much of what's making you thrive to be part of alive and part of this whole energy, how much is in that daily routine? How much are you getting? Because this is about bile. It's about removing the waste of what we've been holding inside of us, in that solar, sacral, and root chakra that doesn't serve us. This is circulating it and moving it out. When we come into the south node, it is in the kidneys. So your lower back. It's also your sacral chakra. Talking about your relationships. You're speaking about the energies that you're still carrying within you, within these relationships, directly connected to the lower back, sacral chakra, and letting you know how much, like I said, this is getting back into that whole removal of waste and energy in one form or another. Then we get into Pallas and Venus. Venus has a lot going on. Venus is your sensitivity. Venus is not just about your love. I cannot say it enough times. Venus speaks to us about our sensitivity to good and bad. When you put your hands in an oven at 365 degrees without an oven mitt and you burn your hands, that's Venus saying, don't do this shit to me. It hurts. Venus right now is in Scorpio with Pallas, which is Athena, the warrior goddess, strategically thinking about how to maneuver these relationships, how to replenish, rebuild, and strengthen these relationships. Talking about how sensitive you are to the situations going on in the relationship. We're still in that sacral chakra and the root chakra here. Then you have Sagittarius, which has Ceres, Mars, and the sun. And while the sun will be moving out right here at the end of the week and into Capricorn, for the most part of the week, right until the very end, we're still looking at the sun being in Sagittarius. This is your hips and thighs. We're getting into fear and lust. And when I say lust, I don't necessarily mean it from a sexual perspective. I mean it from, I need to have what I need to have, because if I can't get it, then, like I need to get that job, or I need to make sure that this is taken care of, because without that being taken care of, then everything in my life is going to fall apart. That kind of lust thinking is what I'm after. here. Promiscuity, yes. Lust, yes, but defining it in different ways along with fear. What I'm saying is the fear that drives the lust mad into going, I need what I need and I need it right now. And this is the hips and thighs. And then we start moving down into these other powerful energies, like Pluto is still in the knees. You have Aquarius and you have Sagittarius, Pisces, which still has Saturn and Neptune. So we're looking at your lower energies of your lower consciousness. And this is where your magic is, where your rules, your walls, your boundaries, your Saturn is, where your Pluto, your death, decay, and destruction for renewal and rebirth is. All in that lower levels of consciousnessless. And where we're looking at where we're in denial. Where we're in denial and where we're numb to causing our own sabotage because we're stuck in those ways. This is all big flush that we're going to be still seeing for the next year, really. I mean, you still have plenty of these energies, at least the next year, that we're flushing out. So we're getting into not just raw, but into where it's been skeletons in the closet so far back that those skeletons have skeletons in the closet. We're getting deep. And this could be a very powerful and magical week. Like I said, I see 2 yods this week. And the yod not only is the most tiniest powerful creation, but it's also known as like the finger or the hand of God. And this week, you have a yod with Uranus. Wherever the yod or yud is pointing to is where the power is going. The power of that energy. I'm not doing astrology the way I normally do it this week. I'm doing it according to the way Spirit was directing me to do it. So it's a little bit different. But Uranus is in your 2nd house. It's your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Are you feeling liberated? Are you in the power and the position of power of your own self? Or is something else in your power? I've been saying that for 3 years now. If you're not in your power, someone or something else will be. And this is the very possession of your power. And being able to reclaim it, not from a fear-based standpoint, because it's not exactly strong here. So it is a little bit like a lion in a cage wanting to attack and prove its point. But that's not truly being in your power. Being in your power is knowing that you don't have to fight. Knowing that you can put your foot down and that's the end of it. Standing in the liberation of that power and being like, I made that choice, I made that decision, and I stand by that. Now we're talking about that energy is specifically speaking with the Sun and Mars in that 9th house. Now, we normally look at that 9th house as higher perspectives, higher morals, getting into a little bit of that higher self, your morals, your ethics, your way of viewing the world, as well as your higher learning, your higher psychic abilities and so forth. This is the sun illuminating where you are in the higher vibration or the lower. Because like I said, that 9th house is Sagittarius, which is about that higher perspective. But when it's not in the higher vibration, it's in a very fear-based, lustful situation. One of the two. It's either high vibrational and you're very much in your ethics, your morals, your spiritual practices, and your ceremonies and understanding from that higher perspective, or it's the very need and desire, and I must have, but fear it'll be taken away. And this is the sun illuminating which side is true or not, versus your inner warrior, your inner SWAT team. And I always say that's your inner belly dancer. It speaks to you about, your inner belly dancer, whether she's the biggest, fattest sumo wrestler or the thinnest. It depends on how comfortable you are in your body. How comfortable you are in your body, in your energy, in your space, in your you, in your authenticness. How true are you being? And is there fear here? Or are you truly in that higher understanding? That energy is speaking directly with the South Node, which is in that 7th house, directly connecting with your relationships. That's Libra. Remember, Libra is often viewed from how we are seeing the world in harmony and balance, because Libra is trying to create harmony, balance, and justice. But 90% of the time, it's showing you where it is not in that harmony, balance, and justice. The South Node is what you're used to. The South Node is what no longer serves you. You've gotten used to it. You've overcome that lesson. Now it's just, I'm holding on to it because it's what I know, but it doesn't do anything for you anymore. So this is talking about the relationships, your groups, your memberships, your committees, and your partnerships, whatever kind of relationship you have with anything. It means something. You have a relationship with your job. You have a relationship with your money. When you have no money, you know about that relationship. You know all about the lack of the relationship with your money when you have none of it. Same with your car. So anything you care about, you have a relationship with. This is the partnershiping of that relationship and how it is directly connected with your higher or lower ethics and morals, spiritual practices, authenticity, higher vibration or lower vibration, whether it's in that fear-based idea and I have to get it in order to get better versus no, I'm in it and it cannot be taken from me. Going all the way back over to Uranus and truly breathing life into your authenticity. The possession and the power of you. This is questioning where you've given your power away and are you going to reclaim it? And how are you going to reclaim it? Are you coming from the higher vibration or from the lower vibration? And like I said, some of those numb areas are going to be getting targeted. And where a yacht is a good thing, this is helping you reclaim your power, your authenticity, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, the possession and the power of you, and standing back in the manifestation of bringing it to you by believing in that higher vibration. But it may be triggered by where you're having problems and relationship zone areas as to where maybe some mirroring effects might be showing itself as to helping you get back on track if you're off track. And you also have another yod, and it's 100% all unpredictable energy. This one is. And it's starting with Chiron, the wounded healer in the 1st house. And how you view the world, your character, how you view the world, how your character sees yourself, as well as how the world sees you. It's illuminating the truth to who and what you really are. Like I said, sometimes who we think we are and who our character really is being is not always the same. Just like they say, a lot of times we say as mediums when we're talking to people, what you want and what you need are separate things. This is the same kind of idea here. Viewing who you really are, your character of who you are versus who you are in here, but what you're showing the world. Chiron's the wounded healer, looking for the new healing, looking for the new cycle, looking for the rebirthing. And it is very unpredictably speaking with Venus in that 8th house. This is all about your rules, laws, and boundaries. And the relationship, your joint efforts, joint finances, joint resources. Where is this connection of who you truly are connecting with that joint energy of the relationship, and how well is it serving you or not? Because then it's coming down to Lilith, and it's speaking to Lilith in the 6th house. Anytime you have the 12th house and the 6th house having a conversation, this is an eye-opener. This is paying attention to your daily routines, paying attention to your everyday mundane tasks. What do you do so repetitively that you don't realize is the biggest part of the manifestation in your life? Your people, places, and things. Your mundane not only owns you, but you own it, but it also is what's creating the manifestation and the reality around you. your people, places, and things, your daily activities. And the way that you are viewing those daily activities coming way back over to your very character. How authentic really are you being? Are you deep within the healing of your Chiron energy? Or are you within that hidden, I'm still trying to find what's not healed? And illuminating and being able to see the mirror of showing yourself the truth. Because as we come into the winter solstices, you're just have a whole lot more mirroring going on. And then it's speaking to that Venus, again, in that 8th house, rules, walls, and boundaries. Are you in your power or are you not? Are you setting the boundaries or are you not? Do they need to be shifted? Very powerful energy that can get us in the right direction, but also if we're in our numbness, it's going to help prolong. This is about free will and what will you will. So it is about spiritual maturity and spiritual growth. It's very positive energy, but it's up to you on how you will it to be so. Now, there's another chain reaction that is very powerful, and it's coming in this week. It's another very unpredictable power. Like I said, that all has to do with where you're at in your vibrational frequency and your free will to choose. You have Saturn, which is very unpredictably speaking with Mars, which is very unpredictably speaking with Jupiter in that 2nd house. So Mars is in that 9th house, the inner warrior, the inner SWAT team, the inner belly dancer. Are you that inner warrior coming in from the higher perspectives or from that fear-based, I need what I need and I need it right now? Ethics, morals is the only way that I can see my way through into the future. Coming back over to your Saturn and forcing the same rules, laws, and boundaries, or are you shifting them? Speaking directly to that Jupiter, your independence, individuality, uniqueness, authenticity. And what is going on here? This is challenging because it is unpredictable energy. It depends on how you will steer it. It's like driving a car. Will you steer it the right way? How will you drive it? Are you taking care of what's underneath the hood and monitoring the flow of this energy? That's really what this energy is about. This whole week is very unpredictable. You have on this week, they have it. I'm not reading it as your normal sextiles, your trines, your squares, and so forth. This week, I'm told to give it to you in a different way. And I'm going to start off with on the 18th. The moon is going to be crossing Nessus. Nessus on the 18th. Most people are not talking about Nessus. Nessus is the ancestral curse or the ancestral healing. It is ultimately where has the curse taken place? Where have you gotten so involved in believing in that is the only way that you cannot believe the higher dimensional perspective of we can change? This is where it's become so set in stone. And it's in Pisces right now, Nessus is. And I'm talking about it specifically because on the 18th, the moon is crossing over it. And this is going to bring an extra highly sensitive energy to some of that numbness. Because the 12th house universally is your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and lack of inner security. The skeletons in the closet. It's where we haven't healed things for the recycling, for the rebirth, for the renewal, because for some reason we're convinced that we're comfortable in that mess. And Nessus is speaking on the 18th, like I said, with the moon amplifying that energy, speaking directly in a trine energy with Venus. So this is saying it's going to be speaking to the sensitivity of your authenticity, of your higher perspectives, your ethics and morals, and challenging if you're willing to step up and make the change. It's a positive energy, but it is speaking of it being in Venus, which is also talking about the sensitivity here. So this is saying if you're feeling good enough, which we are hoping you are, that you will step into the change. Step into the change and make the change. Make the new ethics, morals, rules, laws, and boundaries, because it is the ninth house. It is speaking about making the change, is the best way I can put that. Then it is not getting along with Mars at all. Sorry, that was the eighth house, rules, laws, and boundaries. That's why I was saying it. In your relationship zones, and the groups, committees, in your joint efforts, joint resources, joint finances. When now we're talking about Mars in the ninth house getting into those ethics and morals. Nessus, your lack of being able to make the changes, where it's always the same old, not healing, the same old comfortable incomfortability, but at least I know what this is. The 12th house is all about what needs to be healed, but what we don't want to see, and Nessus is holding on to it like a vampire. Going, but I can stay in this and you'll be comfortable. No, the moon is going to be amplifying that, speaking about you making the changes and doing this. But what it's speaking to Mars is wanting to step out in that fearful based, that lust of where I'm saying I have to make that change, forcing what is they're viewing from a higher perspective, but they're not really in it. This is why it's challenging, because Mars can be that warrior for all the right reasons, like the bull. It can be the warrior for all the right reasons or all the wrong reasons. But the warrior is the warrior, a sound warrior of sound, vibrational, higher energy, or of fear-based. And what are you pushing forward? Because like I said, it's going to challenge Nessus. Unpredictable energy, that south node, meaning it can go anywhere in those relationships. Unpredictable is giving you, it's got more power than what you expect it to have. The idea and following through with what somebody else may project on you and their ideas is very powerful right now. So this is about, are you going to follow you, or are you easily manipulatable? And then it's definitely not getting along with that sixth house with Lilith, standing in your fire, your daily routines, which you want from life. This is a powerful day of not being manipulated, but even though it may be sensitive, standing in the power of going, if I believe in myself, I believe in myself, I can make these changes, but not from a fear-based perspective, because that's going to backfire. Like I said, it's dealing with Nessus. Nessus is ultimately the curse, trying to learn how to overcome itself. It's where all the bad things continuously stay, and the moon is going to be amplifying that. Then you go back here to the 20th, 2 days later, right here as we approach the solstice, you have Pluto with very unpredictable energy, speaking with Venus, then speaking with Chiron. So this is the outer authority having its power according to your sensitivity. Chiron, the wounded healer, has the chance to take the power back. Venus is in that 8th house. It is your resources, joint efforts, joint finances, allowing to rebirth, re-resurrect, redirect rules, laws, and boundaries of your outer authority, your jobs, your careers, your physical reality, your political arena. What authority is out there that still holds power over you directly? And this is maneuvering change, but it is going through a very sensitive motion of standing in your power again, standing in your shoes with your boots possibly shaking, going, you know what, I still have the power and I'm going to take it, but I'm not going to, come with that lustful fear projective of I need it right now, like a lion getting out of the cage. This is asking you, have you stepped into your power? Do you know your power? Or are you still learning of that character? your true authenticity. Because this is directly pointing to that outer world, that Pluto energy, and what is able to take power over you versus what is not. But then it's going directly back into, like I said, the energy of joint efforts, joint resources, joint finances. Where are you standing on your own 2 feet? Not as a couple or as a committee. Where are you showing this is me and this is where I'm going to be? This is where I stand. You have Venus, Mars, and the South Node, which are speaking very powerfully all week. Venus and Mars and that South Node. So it's the 8th house, the 9th, 7th, 8th, and 9th house. And those are all sextiling energies. So this is a very big possibility and opportunities for you to stand in that power and make these changes. But like I said, are they coming from high vibrational or lower vibrational? It's about being able to slow down, control, think about, where am I? Is this really me? Am I in the middle of, being manipulated by everybody else's thoughts and maneuvered in this direction or that direction? What are my ethics, my morals, my decisions? Now step back out and do it. It is a very powerful week. You have Uranus, though, which is fighting with Mercury and Pholos in that 10th house. Independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, authenticity, possession, and power of you, not getting along with how you communicate. The communication and what's going on in the back of the mind is stuck in the poison. Mercury retrograde. Like I said, turn that bad conversations off. Your word vomit off. Be in the true power of who and what you are, what you want to redirect. Calm yourself, then speak. You have very unpredictable energy with that Uranus speaking with that Sun and Mars, which is ultimately making the same kind of conversation. It's illuminating the higher or lower vibration, the higher or lower Mars, the higher or lower authenticity of where you're at, vibrational frequency of where you're at. And are you in control of your power and what you are projecting? Then it speaks with Venus, fighting with Venus again, sensitivity about that outer world and the projection of the committees, the groups, the outer world, of your resources, joint efforts, joint finances. It can be very high bubbling water this week, but it can be controlled. This is where I said, are you in your power? I always say, if you cannot control your inner chaos, you will never be able to harness your power. This is one of those weeks. Very unpredictable, and it can go anywhere you want it to if you are the one in your power. It is also not getting along with the South Node. Uranus, your independence, and overcoming the comfortability zone. There is a lot here that is going positive, but it all depends on your free will. Where will you take it? I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.